Well, hello and welcome back to Bible Bites. Today I'm actually going to be starting a series on a topic that has actually been really important for me in my growth as a Christian, and that is the fruit of the Spirit. So I want to take a Bible bite to break down each and every one of these fruit of the Spirit. And for me, this is actually, like I said, it's a personal thing, because when I was first walking in my faith with Christ, first walking in salvation, I went through a study of this, and I just took an entire week just to focus on love, then joy, then peace, then patience, and so on and so forth. And it completely transformed my life, and it's really, for me, one of the things that led me into this deep relationship with Christ that I feel really guided me towards full-time ministry in the first place. And so I'm excited to revisit the fruit of the Spirit. So today we're going to be talking all about love. And so I hope you guys are excited for today's Bible Bite. Let's get to it. All right, so like I said in the intro, today we're going to be looking at the fruit of the Spirit. Before I go any further, I just want to read what the fruit of the Spirit are. So we find the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians 5 and verse 22 and 23. It says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law." So when I was 18 years old and I was a fresh baby Christian, I'd spent a lot of time in the church, so I knew a lot about the Bible. I'd read through the entire Bible, and I'd spent 18 years of my life hearing about Christ and salvation, but it took me 18 years to really put a personal faith in Jesus Christ. And so I wanted to do this study on the fruit of the Spirit, and I took a week for each one of the items in that list. And so I want to do this again, but with Bible Bites and really going into each one of them. And actually I'm excited because this first one, love, is actually one of the most important ones in all of Scripture. There's so much that the Bible has to say about love. So I really want to dive into a passage about love that's not just the fruit of the Spirit, but it's actually found in 1 John. So I'm going to go ahead and read it in 1 John chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 7 through 11. So 1 John 4, 7 through 11 said, "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. In this the love of God was made manifest among us, that God sent his only Son into the world that we might live through him. And in this love, not that we have loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sin. Beloved, if God so loved us, we also ought to love one another." So from this passage, we see a few things about love, but I really just want to pull out 4 truths about love that we see in Scripture in general. And you could spend weeks and weeks and weeks studying what the Bible has to say about love and all the different things we see about love and how it relates to God's love for us and how we can love others. But I really just want to focus on 4 important ones. The first one is that God is love. And that's something that has probably been said by multiple people in previous Bible Bites, but it's really something that we should say over and over and over again and never forget. This idea that God is love. It's such an important attribute of his character that you can't even separate the idea of God from the idea of God's love. And in Scripture, we see other things about what love is beyond just being a good definition for God. We see in 1 Corinthians 13 the list that I'm sure you guys have heard at a wedding or something like that, where it says love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it's not proud, it doesn't seek after its own interest. And so, yeah, we see a lot in Scripture about what love is. And I think that we need to understand that as our definition of love, as our starting place, is not love as this just emotion, this fleeting thing that's maybe here and for one moment and gone another. You know, maybe I love hot wings in one moment, but then after I've eaten them, I don't love them anymore. No, that's not the love that we're talking about. The love that we're talking about in the Bible, I really want to be defining it by, that list in 1 Corinthians 13 of love is patient, it's kind, doesn't envy, doesn't boast, but also just this idea of God is love. So when we say love, we're talking about the perfect love that can only come from God. So now I want to move on to another thing we see about love, and it's actually in the same chapter in 1 John, but it's a little bit later. It's 1 John 4:21. And it says, "And this commandment we have from him, whoever loves God must also love his brother." So this is an important thing we see about love in Scripture multiple times, is this idea that if we really love God, we're going to love the people around us. And I think that there's two different applications of this. I think one of them is the loving the person next to you, regardless of if they're a Christian or a non-Christian. And we see this when Jesus tells us the two greatest commandments is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and to love your neighbor as yourself. So an important part of love, something you can't you can't take part of it and not the other part, is that if we really want to love God and say we love God, we also have to love our brother. And so the two contexts of that is, loving our neighbor, loving the people next to us, regardless of if they're Christian or not. And that's something that's really hard sometimes, but I think especially right now in this is the political climate, this election season, during COVID, during all these other things that are going on in our world, it's more important than ever for us to really be able to embody love and to stand firm and say, regardless, I am going to put my love for you before my opinions on any other issue. And that has to come first and foremost. But then the other side of that is the love that we have for our fellow Christians. And this, I think, is the one of the most important things that we really have to get down as humans is it's not just enough for us to say we love the non-Christians, but as a body, as the body of believers, we really need to have love for each other as well, and have that be something that the world can look and see and be like, wow, how is this so different from everywhere else? These people truly love each other. And this requirement of love is something that we don't see in the New Testament. I mean, we see it in the New Testament. We most importantly see it from Jesus' mouth himself. So we've been in 1 John. I want to go to John chapter 13, verse 35. And this is Jesus talking about love. And it says this, John 13:35. It says, "By this all people will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another." So this is an important part of being a Christian. The people around us, the people looking at the church, are going to know we are Christians by the love we have for one another. So that was the four things that I wanted to show the Scripture says about love. First, that God is love, and secondly, and it's what love is, and that's that list in 1 Corinthians 13. I didn't want to take too much time there because I really feel like that could be its own study, and you've probably heard that passage a lot. But love is patient, it's kind, it doesn't envy, it doesn't boast, it doesn't seek its own way. And we see that we have to have love for those around us. We see that in 1 John chapter 4. And then that last passage where it says that the world will know we are Christians by the love we have for one another. So that's the first fruit of the Spirit that we've been focusing on. I really feel like this is probably one of the longest Bible bites I'll be doing on the fruit of the Spirit, just because there's so much that the Bible has to say about love, and I feel like I can't even cover half of what I wanted to cover in this Bible bite. But here's my challenge for you, and it's the challenge that I took up a decade ago, and I'm trying to walk in right now as well, is I want to focus on just one fruit of the Spirit for an entire week. So this week, pray every single day, God, can you show me how to better love those around me? Show me how to better love my fellow Christians, and show me how to be that light that other people look at me and know that I'm different because of how I love. Let's focus on the idea that God is love, and that we can't love other people, or we can't love God the right way if we don't love other people as well. So I hope that encouraged you. Next week, I'm going to be teaching on the next fruit of the Spirit, which is joy. And I'm excited to do this as just a personal study, but also be able to share this journey with you guys as well. So if you enjoyed today's Bible Bite, please like the video and share this with a friend. And I hope you guys are excited to just dive into these fruit of the Spirit. We'll check you guys on next Bible Bite.